Um, in the end, like they were some of the best support for me in the world, and I'm blessed to even have a better relationship with them now than I did when I was initially growing up. But right from the jump, for me, I never really fit in, because I was always, for one reason or another, and then I, found out I had learning disabilities later, which made it difficult in school. My parents were always trying to find a good fit for school, so I was always moving around. I was always like grade one, I was at one school, grade 10, grade, like even as a kid, just like move one city because my dad worked in government, and then three and four here, and then um, I was always a new kid on the block. And anytime I got really close to somebody, um, it was like it's like being a little gypsy in a way, because it was like I settle down somewhere, I meet meaningful relationships, and then I'd end up switching schools, and going up to a different, like going to school in like a different borough of the city, and those connections would fall by the wayside. Um, and then I switched schools. The school ended up closing at the end of this year, and I met somebody who, uh, at this point, long and behold, later on, I didn't realize that this person was going to play a huge, significant role in my drinking career. Um, and was on the outside, was like one of my best friends. Behind closed doors, which just became like a really toxic friendship, and it was crazy. But that friendship enabled me to drink and to, um, drugs are part of my story. I know this is an AA thing, but drugs are part of my story. So yeah. Um, and basically fast forward, things were good. I was a good student. Didn't really get into trouble when I was younger. Got good grades. Was admired by my teachers. They thought I was going to do well, go to university, and do that, and be successful like my parents. And that was ideally the plan. Grade nine comes along, and that all changes. For whatever reason, and I'd already had my first full beer at this point, and I drank it with this guy Ari, who had played a big part in my life, at that point, and his dad, and he was like someone I looked up to, passed away. What happened out of that was the whole dynamic of our friendship changed. 14 comes around, I start smoking, grade nine, I start smoking weed. Then, um, then I started smoking weed with Ari, and it just progressed, man. Like, and it's so, in the big book, it talks about this disease being so progressive. Like, you know, 14, we're just smoking weed and chilling. Like the next year, I'm already chilling around with some of the sketchiest kids in the city, um, drinking, smoking weed. Like all the drugs are getting worse. Like, it's not at that point, the people I'm around, it's not just smoking weed. They're all busting up lines beside me. And that was like in a year. I'm going from, instead of like chilling in a friend's backyard, to um um just like being on like a top of an apartment building we're not supposed to, and my buddy almost getting stabbed, like, and then witnessing my buddy almost get shot by a cop, which is for a misunderstanding. Like, it was crazy. um but that in itself didn't make me an alcoholic. What makes me an alcoholic later, what I found out was, um some of those people are still out there messed up. Some of them, it could be either, they passed away or they're in jail. And some of them just got their life together on their own accord because life came and slapped them in the face. The thing that makes me different from them is a doctor tells me, oh, your liver, later, oh, your an enzyme count in your liver is starting to get slightly too high, or like, a million reasons, or or a psychiatrist is like, you shouldn't drink because it won't be compatible. Like, it will be bad with this medication. Like, anything can add to that bill. But that in itself did not stop me. And when I tried doing it on my own accord, the most I could stay sober for was 2 weeks. And basically, and fast forward, things got bad. I ended up in treatment. The first time I tried getting sober, I was 16. And because there wasn't anything that I could get here, like treatment wise and stuff, and how our healthcare system aside, I ended up in the States, which is like one of the biggest like culture shocks I've ever been through in my life, just because, you take like, I come from a city of like 2.5 million people and a metro area of 5 million people, and then put me in a field basically an hour and a half away from Philly, surrounded by like farms and shit, and like I'm waking up to like yeah, man, you're in a field, like in a small town, like in America, and it's just crazy. And that was the first time I'd ever like been, in a sense, truly alone. Like I'm on my own in the stream, and that's when, and it was, I didn't stay fully sober after that point, but that's when it was revealed to me that on my own accord, I was truly fucked, because I went insane. I literally went insane. I ended up in the psych ward 3 times down there. I witnessed a fight my last day there, and a bunch of kids got arrested, and that made the newspaper. It's pretty gnarly. That article's still out there, but, but things went well for a bit. And then, I went to a therapeutic boarding school. Things were good. I finished up outside. Things were looking good. Finished up high school. The high school I ended up graduating from, the city, like some of my, I'd work get published on a wall, like showcase. I was open with other kids of what I've been through, and it was great. I was doing good. And then the thing is, I had almost 3 years, but I wasn't working the program. Like I was sitting around in meetings, but the solution wasn't getting talked about. I wasn't in meetings where the big book was getting talked about and actually the solution. So naturally, being an alcoholic, I started to get pissed off. Like I started to get disconnected. Then the delusion is, oh, maybe it was just maybe it was just a phase when I was a teenager. The liar, or like one of my old sponsors said, it's like this little snake. If you're into like I don't know, not to talk, like this little thing whispers in your ear saying everything's going to be okay. And that first time when I went out, it was a summer, and everything was fine. But I didn't expect to end up in the hospital in October. This is August to October, and that's already happening. And then things progress. And everything that I said I wasn't going to do, I ended up doing. I'm not going to smoke weed. Like, I remember a girl's like, she's like, do you smoke weed? I said no. And then the next day I'm like, oh, do you want to smoke weed? She's like, I thought you said last night that you don't smoke weed. Like, it was so, that's the insanity of it. All these limits, expectations go right out the window. Within no time, I'm abusing my medication. That's all stimulant based. So it's like abusing amphetamines, abusing, drinking and stuff like that too. And then I thought it was later, and then I realized like, no, by September I started drinking in August. Like I was already doing that. I made a prof stop mid-lecture in a class of 15 people and stare at me. Like it was, and that in itself wasn't enough to stop me. My friends coming up to me being like, what's wrong with you? You look like shit. That wasn't enough. And I kept progressing. I ended up getting a job in the auto industry. Miraculously, I didn't get run over by some like Escalade or some like grandma on a Honda Accord. So I don't know how that didn't happen, but that and everything, I left in the slide like, oh no, I'm fine. I have a job. Everything in the outside looked great. I was on the risk of getting fired all the time. And around me, like, and the big book talks about living this Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde lifestyle. Because on the outside, I'm the nice associate at work. I'm all night, like I'm nice. My customers like me for the most part, and go home. Behind closed doors, and then people are wondering, like, why is your phone blowing up all the time at work? Because I have kids that want me to go get them weed. Like I have kids, like, and it's just behind it. I'm leaving this sketchy lifestyle, and it all happened fast in a blink of an eye, and to the point where I don't even think about it anymore because it gets to the point fast to the point where I don't even give a shit anymore. And I relapsed hard. My lifestyle changed. All the like I had like, and towards the end, the scary part for me was in the back of my mind when I was drinking, even when I was around one of my best colleagues that I work with, in the end, I had this voice be like, what you are doing, drinking, smoking, whatever, like drugs, everything, you're still going to feel like shit in the morning. So even when I was drinking and getting high, that wasn't working for me. So my solution, because alcoholics, like for us and addicts, aren't where drugs and alcohol are a problem. That's our solution. That's how we get outside of ourselves and deal with life. Because I don't know how to sit down in a room and be comfortable with myself. I don't know how to be like have meaningful relationships with people unless I'm on that. And I think like on something that changes my mind state. So in the end, it got bad. I tried taking my own life, and my mom walked in and stopped me. I ended up in the hospital, and that's where shit got real. Through a long series of events, basically ended up in the psych ward. I was supposed to be there for like 2 weeks. I got out of there in 3 days because my doctor was a moron and my dad got me out. Crazy story, and basically, in retrospect, that's what began the road to recovery, like a solid, like a recovery that I didn't even know. And basically, a big part of it, this woman, Susie, that was a friend of my mom's, she picked me up, took me to this meeting, which is a hill, which has 200 people in it. It's not really fun when you're 3 days sober. And she said, do you want to go through the big book? And at this point, I'm like, well, I just almost died a few days ago. So I'm like, might as well at this point. This woman took time out of your day, and through thick and thin, we didn't always agree. And there's times where I sat on my steps and like almost drank again. And then I prayed. I got through it. Took me through the big book, page by page, line by line. The job of sponsors to make the big book make sense, and that's what she did. And I worked with her my whole first year getting sober. That's, all she did was connect me through a power greater than myself so I could, and now as long as I'm on good spiritual lines, like today, covered from a hopeless state of mind and body. And I get to help others. I get to do things, like my life is, by all means, it's not perfect, but it's beautiful. Like most people, like in this meeting I've met in person, which is like crazy, which I didn't expect at all, because this was literally a meeting when I was still working in the auto industry. I came on because I wanted a meeting because I finished work late and I wanted something. And I've met like pretty much half the people that are listening to this right now, which is insane. I got it. One thing I recommend, especially if you live in the States, get involved with young people in a service, go to a conference, get on a committee, just do it. Like even when I was broke as hell, I still made something work. So just get in the car and go, and you'll thank me later. Because even when I was sober before, I did a road trip from Toronto all the way to San Antonio, Texas for Icky Paw in 2014. And that's what got me sucked in to YPaw big time. My life today, I'm starting a business. I thought I had fear before. Like now I have fear. Like finances, like for real, like, I'm more worried about getting to an appointment with a fucking financial advisor, not whether my dealer picks up. That's insane to me. Like, I got to go to Virginia in July to speak on literally on this topic on a relapse panel. I have to look after Carissa's fucking cat for 2 weeks and hope it doesn't kill me the end of May. And hopefully not blow up her apartment. Like, this is like even just taking a risk and just and I'm not perfect. There's nights like my inventory falls behind. I'm not perfect. There's still days where I can get, sad and stuff like that. I've gone through horrible shit, even sobriety. Like like um I've one of my closest, like I've had sponsees die, friends die. I just got back from Montreal, and I reached out to Chris about this. And it's the craziest thing, and it was totally by fluke. I'm sitting down in a restaurant, and this is so Canadian. I order a fucking poutine, normal plate, and I'm at a bar, not because I want to drink at a bar. My friend wanted to go there. The Big Book talks about that. If our motives are good, we can pretty much go anywhere alcohol is served. And I have one bite of this, and I'm like, and I take it like 2 or 3 bites out of it. I'm like, this fucking tastes like Guinness, bro. My friend knew I was in the program. He's a normie. And I wasn't like scared. I wasn't like, I'm just like, I've been through this before. But the first thing I did was I called my sponsor, who ironically runs like a food blog, and like told him, and he's like, pray, you're going to be good, and reach out. And I didn't go to that meeting that night. In retrospect, I should have. But that's one of the things too, where it's just like, something happened. It was out of my control. Didn't plan it. Just means to dive harder in the program and stay like that too. And luckily that didn't bring on like me like wanting to go like drink in a bar or something like that. There's a difference between a thought is a thought. Like the compulsion, like the obsession begins after we use. And if I use, like I'm fucked. And I'm just grateful I'm here, man, because everything in Toronto, all the blow, crack, everything is all getting caught with fentanyl. My friends are literally dropping like flies. I'm reading. If I go on my newsfeed right now, there's probably someone that passed away. It's that fucked up, and it sucks. But I'm here, and like I said, man, I'm starting a business. My finances are kind of all over the place, but my family's supportive. I'm looking for sponsees right now because my other one went MIA. And that's the thing too. Even when life was crazy, even when I left the auto industry and I had 4 other jobs, I still stayed connected. Even when I like still at work, like in a long ass shift, I still got off my ass and met with my sponsee. We may have only met 4 times, but that in itself kept me sober. And I've always wanted to travel. I get to do that. Like, it's so funny. God will either sometimes give you the things you want, but it might not be in your own time. So if you're new, if you're coming back, if you're struggling, if you're wondering what the fuck this is, if you just joined the meeting and you think like what the hell is this? If you just came out of a blackout and realized you're in like a virtual AA meeting, that's super awesome. Welcome. And and stay for the meeting after the meeting. Generally we hang out after. So and if you're new, get someone that's been through the big book that can make it come to life so that you can do this in and I can guarantee you in like not even a year, like a few months, you won't even recognize your life. I don't even recognize my life. I'm doing shit that I dreamed about. When I was 16, the first time I went to treatment, I didn't think my life would be like how it is now. Still got problems, but I didn't think they'd be like how it is now. So I'm grateful. So even though it was last minute, I'm grateful I got to speak. So now I'm looking forward to hearing other people share. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.